In April 2008, I was in Brazil. I went to Rio. I went to several other places. I was in the band of my college, and we toured around for about 2 weeks. Saw a couple of these things here. I learned that Havaiana is really comfortable. I got this really nice soccer jersey there. I don't know what this thing was that we had to eat, but it had like 17 ingredients on it, and it was really tasty. I had a really delicious banana split. I fell in love with sushi for the first time, and I drank plenty of Guaraná to last me a lifetime. I came back to Jungle Gyms, went to the international market, and I continued to buy Guaraná for the rest of my life. It's actually where I fell in love with coffee. I remember sitting out on someone's patio, looking over the valley of Teresópolis, and I had coffee brewed in a sock. It was dark, it was not at all like I expected, and when I came back to Jungle Gyms, I couldn't find a coffee that tastes like that. But I remember it ignited my passion for coffee, which took me through my whole exploration in coffee. And then obviously, as you all know, if you follow the channel, I'm here now talking about whiskey as well. Why am I telling you all this? Well, because today we are taking a look at the Penelope Rio. I made an Instagram post about this the other day, and from that, I had tons of people saying, what are your thoughts on Rio? What are your thoughts on Rio? What are your thoughts on Rio? What do you think of Rio? How do you like Rio? Is Rio any good? What's up with Rio? Everyone wants to know about Rio, and apparently everyone's talking about Rio. So here I am doing the obligatory talking about Rio video. If you don't know, this comes from Penelope, straight bourbon whiskey. I believe it's a 4-grain recipe, finished in both honey and Amburana. So it's a double cask finish coming in at 49% or 98 proof. How does it compare to other honeys or Amburana finishes? Let's go ahead and find out. While I have you here, jump down below, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let me know your favorite Penelope product or if you've tried Rio before you go any further. Color on this one is on the lighter side of things, kind of golden. We're gonna dive right on into it. Again, 98 proof, wouldn't expect the legs to be all that crazy. Let's go ahead and dive in on the nose. Woo! I say yummy in Portuguese. Delicioso. The nose is very sweet. I think it's probably best to describe it as custardy. That's the top thing that kind of comes to mind. It's got a sweet, honeyed type grain note to it as well. Not overly complex, just really straightforward. I think those who have had this pour know what I'm talking about. Maple, caramel, honestly like a cream cheese frosting. This has, the thing that I really pull out the most about this is like the icing on top of carrot cake, whether that's like a caramel icing or a cream cheese icing, but you know what I'm talking about. It's very sweet and it's very specific. And I think that that's exactly what I get here on this nose. It's kind of that sweet carrot cake icing. Let's go ahead and dive in on the palate. Isto é doce. Like the nose, the palate too is best described as custardy. And I like that kind of custardy, slightly rich, kind of velvety, but not as heavy profile. I still get the kind of carrot cake, cream cheesy icing. And honestly, there's something that's almost a little cheesecakey about it. When I say that, cheesecake to me gets a little bit sharp. And I don't know if that's because of the grains or how it picks up when it goes into the finish. Now, this one does drink on the front end very much like a honey finished whiskey to me. So it's very sweet on the very front end. The back end is where I pick up the Amburana. I don't really know how I describe something that has the front end of Amburana, but I noticed the sweet honey in the front, and I noticed the linger of the finish have some of those kind of cinnamon desserty like notes, the fragrant kind of bouquet, interesting, perfumey Amburana-ness definitely finishes, carries on in the sip. Kind of quickly comparing to some other things, I think that the honey finished Nulu I've had has been a lot higher proof. I think that the honey finished Starlight that I've had has definitely had a little bit more of the rye or bourbon kind of influence, kind of kicking through a little bit. But I'd honestly say the same thing with Amburana. I have had Amburana finishes that are so much cinnamon, so much cinnamony, and I honestly like Amburana. I think that it's got an interesting complexity. It's got interesting wood-like notes that get imparted into it, but I get how some people don't because it is so intense. This one is nice because you get honey front, you get Amburana finish. It doesn't actually come off all that intense, and I think that's in part due to its lower proof than some of the other products that we've had. However, it's really sweet. If I were to call something a dessert pour, this one's definitely it. I think that proof is what keeps it as something that you could actually come back to a little bit more. The really rich ones that have really intense finishes that are super desserty, I think sometimes those may be hard to finish. Now, this one is very decadent. I don't know that I'd come to it all that often. To me, this reminds me of, say, getting a caramel frappuccino when it comes to coffee. I'm a black coffee drinker. Every once in a while, I just get the craving and I want a caramel frappuccino. And the caramel frappuccino has all the whipped cream, which is delicious and sweet. It has the caramel, which tastes very kind of fakey caramel, but gooey, and I love it. It's really tasty. And it's mixed with kind of icy coffee-y thing, but it's, coffee is not necessarily the main flavor of it. And I will drink those every so often, but I could not drink them every day. I think that's kind of how I feel about this Rio. It's really enjoyable if you like finished products. If you like the honey, if you like the Amburana. I don't pick up much about the spirit, I don't feel like here. I feel like I get a lot of the finishing kind of come through in the flavors. But people who want that kind of roller coaster, that kind of trip to Rio, then you might be pleased here with the honey and Amburana. I will say again, and I think it's partially in because of its proof, I do think this is probably the more balanced of any of those finishings that I've had. So maybe the key to these is just doing the finishing and having lower proofs to them. Maybe that helps it from being so overwhelming. I don't know that I've had other honey finishes that I would say I love or love more than this. I think it's just something that I have had. But there are definitely other Amburana finished products that I definitely think have a little bit more to it. And again, that's probably in part because of the proof. If you're sitting here waiting for me to tell you whether or not this is worth the value that it is placed on secondary and those sort of things, I can't give you those answers because there are a lot of people who are making products finished in honey, Amburana, all those sorts of things. I will say the things that I've already just mentioned here a little bit ago. It is pretty balanced for the proof. It's very easy to drink. It's very sweet. But if you like the kind of flavor pocket that I mentioned, it is very custardy, very desserty, and dare I say, the caramel frappuccino of whiskey. Guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope it was informational to you all. Leave me some messages down below. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of hate about this one. Why is everything Amburana finished? Why is it worth that much? I don't set the prices. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm just here to taste and report it back to you all. So let me know if you all have tried Rio and what you all thought about it down in the comments below. Is it a big gimmick to you, or do you really enjoy the flavors? I'd love to hear what you all think down in the comments below. Have you all tried other products from Penelope, and what have been your favorites? I'd love to hear down in the comments below. Thanks as always, everybody, for tuning in to another video. I hope it was informational. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know if there's other things you want to hear me talk about in future videos. And until next time, see you all later.